So I pledge to lead our country with a team of rivals.
Democrat Eric Swalwell has now entered the race for 2020. This list of losers is way too big. There are 2, 3, maybe 4 people on this list that are actually interesting, that are actually offering something. The rest of them are all throwaways. Eric Swalwell is a throwaway. There is absolutely, first of all, no way he can win this race. But there's also nothing he's offering. So I want to show you just how empty Eric Swalwell is. So during a rally, look at what he said about how he's going to work with Republicans or when he becomes president.
I'm the son of 2 Republicans. I married a Hoosier from southern Indiana who grew up in Pence country. I've worked with Republicans my whole life, reaching across the dinner table and reaching across the aisle. I go on Fox News just so most of my family can see me on TV. We must unite our deeply divided country. So I pledge to lead our country with a team of rivals, a blended cabinet of Republicans and Democrats. Not because it'll be easy, and we may have to send out a search party to find more Republicans who can put country over party.
All right. This total effing loser. He wants to put Republicans and Democrats in his cabinet. Now, look, if you don't follow politics at all, you may think, oh, this sounds great. He wants to work with both parties. He's going to bring the country together. But if you know anything about anything, you would understand that, first of all, both these parties just work for their big corporate donors, the vast majority of them, especially the Republicans, but also most Democrats. But the idea that you're going to put Republicans and Democrats together to what? Work for who? All they're going to do is answer to their donors together. All you're going to do is have a party that answers for big donors and bigots, just like politics does right now. I don't. This is the trouble that I have with idiots like this. I don't know if he's dumb, dishonest, or both. I think it's a little of both. But because I'm not this person, I couldn't go out there on a stage and give a message that I know is completely full of crap. I have a hard time understanding that, or thinking that it's just about him being dumb, or just about him being a sellout, because I think it's about him being dumb too. I think it's also just this complete, total unawareness, because his mind is old. This is a guy who raises money from big donors. This is a guy who doesn't care about progressive issues, as I'm going to show you about healthcare in a second here. All he cares about is, or he's surrounded by who supports him financially in his campaigns. That's the world that he knows. So he thinks, oh, all right, and also the same kind of guy that watches Morning Joe and thinks, oh, you just got to reach across the aisle, work with the Republican Party, and then it's all gonna work out fine for the American people. I mean, sure, that just means that we both sell out to fossil fuels, we both sell out to the insurance industry, we both sell out to Wall Street, both sell out to big pharma. But at the end of the day, Republicans and Democrats working together, that's what matters. Who gives a fuck about what it means for the American people as long as we're working together? That's all they do. If the only exposure you have to American politics is through mainstream press, you may think, oh, Republicans and Democrats never get along. Oh, they can't pass any bills. Complete crap. They pass shit all the time. But the stuff they do is in the best interest of their corporate donors. So when you hear about the disagreements, they're largely minor disagreements. I mean, look back to Obamacare and healthcare. He didn't even bring a single payer option to the table. He only brought the public option to the table and still had to strip his plan of that. Look at taxes. Obama continued the Bush tax cuts for the rich. These parties fight for the same thing, just at different degrees. So Trump is all in terms of, the fossil fuel industry, big pharma, insurance, Wall Street, big donors. The Republican Party is completely all in for these massive donors. The Democrats try to ride the line a little bit. They say, okay, well, sure, yeah, okay, tax cut for corporations, but not as big as the tax cut that Trump wants, but a small tax cut for corporations, yeah, that's okay. All you have to do is look at what they're actually fighting over, and you realize that it's really they're fighting for the same thing. It's just a matter of how much they're fighting for that. There aren't real disagreements here. Now, that's going to be shocking to a lot of you, but all you have to do is look at what the disagreements are over. And now when you have progressives like AOC and Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib actually challenging, and Bernie Sanders, of course, actually challenging the status quo, they hate that because it exposes the lie that you have been told for years, that these two parties, they just can't get along, when in reality they've been getting along the entire time, just not in your best interest. But now AOC, Bernie Sanders, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar expose that BS and show you what the real divide is. When you have AOC, Bernie Sanders not taking any corporate money, running on what is best for the people, understanding that the vast majority of Americans support Medicare for all, the vast majority want money out of politics, the vast majority want higher taxes on the rich and multinational corporations, but the Democratic Party is not fighting for any of those things. It shows you what the real divide is. The real divide is progressives or democratic socialists versus everyone else, versus corporate-backed politicians. Now, let me also show you this clip from CNN where Eric Swalwell was on here for an interview, which these people are so boring, but thankfully this clip is courtesy of Joseph Sakata on Twitter. So he clips things all the time, and he has a great eye for this stuff. So check him out. I'll link to actually his Twitter below if you want to give him a follow. But he clipped this piece out of this interview with Jake Tapper, and I just want to show you this because it shows you, even when these corporate Democrats support or co-sponsor legislation like Medicare for all, they don't really support it.
But, Congressman, with all due respect, the Medicare for all bill that you've co-sponsored would essentially do away with private health insurance, but you're saying you don't agree with it. Why are you co-sponsoring that bill?
Well, I do agree with the part of having Medicare access for anyone who wants it, because that would drive down the cost in the private insurers. It's the best bill out there that could do that right now. But being a leader means sitting down and negotiating and finding what works best for everyone. So I don't think it has to be a false choice, Jake. I think it's finding what is better than now, which now is healthcare costs are eating up our paycheck. We're in a free market system. Pre-existing conditions are not being protected by the president, and I will give the American people something better than that.
But would you vote for this bill if it came to the floor?
If this bill came to the floor, I would offer an amendment to have the public option, just as we had that opportunity back when President Obama was in, but we couldn't get it through the Senate. But this is a good start, and we shouldn't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, and I'm going to give something that's much better than what we have today.
But if that amendment didn't pass, would you vote for this bill?
Well, Jake, I think this bill, as it is better than what we have today, but I will have a public option in the law that I sign in the bill that I sign into law as president.
All right. This clip shows you two things. First, it shows you that Eric Swalwell does not listen to what the voters want, because the voters want 70% of all voters, not just Democrats, 70% of all voters support Medicare for all. Eric Swalwell, despite being a co-sponsor of the Medicare for all bill, does not support Medicare for all. So this also shows you that a corporate Democrat co-sponsor means nothing. If he can co-sponsor a piece of legislation to give him a nice talking point on the stump, but doesn't actually support it, then he'll do it. He'll do it because it'll politically benefit him, even though if he comes to power, which he will not, but if he did, he would not actually push for it. Does this stuff need explaining? Sometimes I feel like I'm just talking to myself because I mean, this should be obvious. All you have to do is listen to their words. I mean, they're exposing it themselves. He is a co-sponsor of the Medicare for All bill and does not support Medicare for All. That tells you everything you need to know. This is completely absurd. So, look, I don't know if having these many people in the race is good or not, because honestly, it's taking a lot of air out of discussions that could be happening on cable news. So, but on the other hand, it can be positive in a sense because idiots like this will split the vote, and that will only benefit progressive candidates, which are fewer in numbers. So maybe it's a good thing that this moron's in here, but I don't understand why. I mean, the only possible reason Eric Swalwell has to run is because he wants to raise his own profile. So it's all about him being a total narcissist and really nothing more.